Then John Foot.
My name is Stan Mark. I'm Senior Staff Attorney at Asian American Legal Defense and Education Fund, same office that Margaret Fung is at. I'm here today to submit my testimony and also the preliminary findings criticizing the draft environmental impact statement of the East Village and Lower East Side rezoning proposal. And I'll be submitting the final report produced by the Center for Community Planning and Development at Hunter College by August 25th. I'm incorporating the following findings into my testimony. The DEIS does not address the disparate impacts to Asian, Hispanic, Black, and low-income residents. We have some maps here, and we will turn them around so that the audience can see them too, but I'd like the commission to take a close look at them. Unlike the maps that you have outside, these are higher resolution. They're not necessarily just census tracts. They are maps that give you a better idea what the rezoning is about and how it affects people in the Lower East Side and Chinatown. Also, we have a map describing the actual changes in the FAR, the floor area ratio, which indicates much higher development in certain areas, mainly along Christie Street, of course, which you've heard about, along Delancey, also around East Houston and Avenue D. So those places have been upzoned dramatically. In some instances, like Christie Street, the height is now 140 feet. DIS also does not disclose the discriminatory impacts of the project, which disproportionately protects areas that are predominantly white and higher incomes to the exclusion of areas that are most heavily populated with low-income residents and people of color. DEIS lacks a detailed assessment of indirect residential displacement due to the rising housing costs, both inside and outside of the proposed zoning area. The DEIS also fails to disclose the discriminatory impact of the rezoning on populations outside of the rezoned area. By limiting the secondary study to only a quarter mile, the DEIS draws inaccurate conclusions about existing trends and development pressures throughout the areas. Likewise, the study area should not have been analyzed as a whole, but by rather sub-areas, as was done, though inadequately, in the neighborhood character chapter of the DEIS. The DEIS minimizes the effects of business displacement on neighborhood conditions. The DEIS minimizes the effect of the rezoning on the ability of existing businesses to successfully relocate. The public housing under this plan is not necessarily protected from impacts of the rezoning. And then the DEIS assumes that buildings with 6 or more residential units built before 1974 will automatically be protected by rent stabilization programs. In conclusion, by limiting the extent of the study area, the DEIS fails to capture the full geographic impacts of the 3rd largest rezoning in the United States, in New York City. By not examining the full range and distribution of income, race, housing characteristics, and other socioeconomic factors, the DEIS makes the study area appear to be more homogeneous than it really is, thus minimizing the disparate impacts on low-income residents and people of color. The underlying assumptions,
could you conclude your remarks? Thanks.
The underlying assumptions regarding projected development lead to gross underestimation of business displacement and secondary residential displacement. In summary, the DEIS that was prepared for the East Village and Lower East Side rezoning falls short of the requirements set forth in the City Environmental Quality Review Regulations, Section 6-09 of the Executive Order 91. It does not provide the level of detail appropriate for rezoning of this scale. This proposal should be rejected until a more thorough environmental review has been conducted.
Thank you.
Amanda?